Sunday, 2 p.m. at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea have the opportunity to get the ball rolling again. The players have the opportunity to show Pochettino that they have not only the fight, but also the desire to compete at the top level. And some people are telling me that Chelsea's season is over already. And do you know what? When you look at the performances and the points tally of the teams above us, maybe you're right. But this game for me is a must win, and for one very simple and very scary reason, and that is that if Chelsea fail to win and lose to Brighton on Sunday and other results go massively against us, we could finish the weekend as low as 15th in the Premier League table. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not a sentence I thought I'd be saying after 13 games of this season. Right, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. If you are new around here, at the end of the video, please hit the subscribe button. Also, please, right now, smash the like button. It helps me pump these videos out and helps me bring more content to you. I'm trying to upload on a daily basis, but it is a struggle. Anyway, in this video, I am going to give you guys my starting 11 that I would like to see face Brighton. We're going to preview the opposition and talk about Brighton a little bit, and I'm going to give my opinion on what we need to do to secure the 3 points. And ultimately, I will be giving you a score prediction at the end of the video, so stick around for that. Let's get into the team sheet. Right, starting off with the goalkeeper, I am obviously going with Robert Sanchez. I did a bit for the Lad Bible the other day with Culture Cams, very, very good content creator. And we had a little bit of a disagreement, actually, over who was better out of Robert Sanchez and Andre Onana. He was very bullish on the fact that Andre Onana was better. Obviously, that was before last night's 3-3 draw between Man United and Galatasaray, so I'm very interested, Cams, if you're watching this. What do you reckon, Onana or Sanchez? I know where I'm going with it. The back line, we're obviously going Malo Gusto right back. Reece James is out of the team through suspension. And you know what? There's a small possibility, isn't there, here? And you could really upset the apple cart. But if Malo Gusto puts in a really good performance in this match, does Pochettino stick or twist when Reece James is back available? That's the very interesting sort of element to this, because there's no doubt for me Malo Gusto will be the right back. I don't think that he's going to move Cucurella over there again, not for a match of this significance. So it's going to be Malo Gusto. But do you know, like, obviously, of course, for me, I think that Reece James is probably technically one of the best, if not the best player at Chelsea Football Club. I have by no means got the knives out for Reece after the red card against Newcastle. It happens. He's a young player. He spent a lot of his career injured as well. So although he might be 23, 24 maybe even with Reece, you know, game time wise, he hasn't accumulated all that much game time in comparison to other players his age that haven't had injuries. And the lack of game time he's probably had leads to a lack of experience. So it is what it is. But what sort of message does it send out if we win this match and have a really, really good performance, and then Malo Gusto loses his spot straight away? Well, that pretty much says to Malo Gusto, no matter what you do this season, you are backup. And maybe Malo Gusto will be all right with that. But as a young player, you know, highly touted, French under-21s team, you'd think that Malo Gusto is going to really want the game time. Next season, if we're back in Europe, it will come. But very interesting there. I think Malo Gusto will have a very, very good match here. Let's speak about the centre-back pairing. Thiago Silva, he gave the ball away against Newcastle. He's had a couple of good performances this season, especially in the bigger matches, barring Newcastle. He's also had a couple of bad performances, in my opinion. Thiago Silva is a man that I have massive, massive respect for. Thiago Silva is a man that I think a lot of our players can learn a lot of. He's been there, done it, worn the T-shirt, and I am going to have him in my centre-back pairing. I am going to go Thiago Silva and Levi Colwill. Now, ironically, we conceded 2 goals in this game, but I actually thought that our defence looked strongest this season so far in the match against Arsenal. Now, there's obviously matches like the one against Luton, for example, and the Blackburn game that I was at, when there's been different centre-back pairings there. Silva, Disasi, Levi Colwill in the Blackburn game. But in the bigger matches, when you're really going to get tested by top-level attackers, I think that the best we've looked defensively was with Thiago Silva and Levi Colwill against Arsenal. I am going to give that centre-back pairing another try. Cucurella, left-back. We've only really got one option there, haven't we? Because you could play Levi Colwill there, but I just do think that Levi Colwill, Thiago Silva is a little bit better than Thiago Silva Axel Disasi. For the future, it could be Colwell Disasi, it could be Colwell Badiashile. We're hearing that Gahey might be coming back. I am going to do a video on transfers, so that will drop early next week. Me and Josh Vest, they're going to get in the studio together. It's been a bit too long. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been in the studio together, so I'm really looking forward to that. Let's move on to the midfield. The midfield for me always picks itself. It's Caicedo alongside Enzo and Gallagher slightly further forward. However, when I say it picks itself, when we look at the likes of Romeo Lavia coming back from injury, and he'll be back soon. Once he starts getting minutes and putting in impressive performances, there is a little bit of jeopardy there for the midfield. And at the moment, the man that I think is probably underperforming the most out of those three would have to be Enzo Fernandez. And it's a real strange case. I am very, very confident that Enzo Fernandez's form will pick up. And let's have it right here before we just run away with a narrative that's being portrayed in the media a little bit. Enzo's form isn't bad. The whole team's form is inconsistent. But Enzo himself hasn't been awful, has he? He hasn't been bad. We would just hope that for the price tag and for the glimpses of brilliance we've seen from him, and even the brilliance we saw from him at time in isolated incidents last season, we'd hope that he could do a little bit more. And I do believe he can. And I don't think it's a time to be dropping Enzo out of that midfield or Caicedo, because I just think that the only thing that's going to help these boys is time in that midfield trio, spent together, playing together, going through experiences, ups and downs, and eventually they can come out the better for those experiences. Rambling here and I. Right, Conor Gallagher. This man's going to have a point to prove in this game, because not only will he be captain in the absentees of Reece James, obviously Ben Chilwell, I think Thiago Silva was like third choice captain or whatever, backup, but part of the leadership team, we were told. But Conor Gallagher's very clearly the captain if Reece James isn't on the pitch, and he will have a point to prove, because when we look at the specific attributes that we pride Conor Gallagher on having, those are all the attributes that we massively, in fact not lacked, we didn't show against Newcastle, tenacity, legs, hunger, drive. All of those things are what I associate with Conor Gallagher's game. So I think that Conor Gallagher is going to have a bit of a vengeance here, and he's going to look and think, right, let me prove a point. If Pochettino's words in the press conference and words in the post-match interviews would have rattled anyone in that team in a good way, I believe it's Conor Gallagher. Up top, we're going to go Palmer on the right-hand side. We already know we're going Sterling on the left-hand side. That man cannot be dropped at the minute, and I don't think either can Palmer. A lot of people are saying to me, penalty merchant, didn't do anything against Newcastle. Plenty of players don't do much in single matches and are still great. Bruno Fernandes for Man United, he hasn't showed up in quite a few matches this season. Then every now and again he scored a winner or thunderbolt shot last night against Galatasaray. It can happen. Cole Palmer had an off day. Yeah, so did everyone else. Sterling, the man that scored our goal, probably had an off day as well. But those two are going to be very important for us. Through the middle, do we stick with Nicholas Jackson? Do we twist? Do we play a false nine? Do we bring Mudryk in there? I am about to tell you. I'm going Amanda Broja. And you know what, right? I think that Jackson, for me, has been given a lot more opportunities this season than Amanda Broja has. And so far, despite a decent goal return from Jackson, in comparison to maybe how some of those performances have gone, I do believe that he hasn't done anything to massively elevate him in the selection ahead of Amanda Broja. Now, Amanda Broja, I truly believed when Nicholas Jackson first came in, he had a good stint at Villarreal. I still thought Amanda Broja was going to be the man this season. Amanda Broja is going to be the guy that leads the line for us. And it hasn't really transpired that way. Obviously, he had swelling on his knee. He struggled to come back from injury. And when he has been in the team, he looked decent against Burnley, albeit not getting on the score sheet. He scored against Fulham. So Amanda Broja, and obviously also won the penalty against Arsenal. I can't forget that. So Amanda Broja needs to be given an opportunity here. And I know that we could look at it and go, you're twisting and settled lineup and whatnot. I don't know, man. I just don't think that at this moment in time, Jackson is the man to win games for us. I feel bad saying it, but I just don't think at this moment in time he is. How does that come? Well, if you don't start him and you don't play him, then is it going to come? Is he going to randomly discover this form off the bench? I doubt it. So maybe he might need a loan away at some point. And maybe he'll come back into this team. Maybe he'll play this weekend, score a couple of goals, as he did against Brighton in the cup match that I was at. And I'll be eating my words. But, for this time out, I think Amanda Broja, academy graduate, let's give him a chance in there. Let's see how he does. Let's see if he can rediscover a bit of his old form. So that's my lineup. I think it's quite a strong one. I think it's easily enough to go and beat Brighton, but my God, I've said that a few times this season and it hasn't happened. But speaking of Brighton, what do they offer? Well, I think Brighton have been a really brilliant team over the last few seasons. A breath of fresh air. And maybe, just maybe, they've been so good that they've set the benchmark so high and our expectations so high of them that I don't think they're anywhere near as good this season. Is that controversial? I don't know. They've acquired 6 more points than us, and they've got some good wins, you know. They've beat the likes of Newcastle, they pumped them, Man United. But my God, they concede a lot of goals, don't they? 23 goals conceded. That's more than us, more than Palace, more than Fulham, more than Everton, more than Forest. It's the same amount of goals conceded as Luton, who I actually think are pretty decent, to be fair. But I've watched Brighton quite a few times this season, and I feel like after us taking Caicedo and after Liverpool taking McAllister, that midfield is just a little bit too easy to get through this season. But I don't know, let's pay Brighton some respect, right? They are probably one of, if not the best run club in the Premier League. They do have a really good manager, and as much as I've spoke about their lacklustre record when it comes to conceding goals, they don't struggle to find the net either, you know. Their 28 goals is 6 more than us this season. It's the same amount as Liverpool. It's 1 more than league leaders Arsenal. And I know they may well now have Ansu Fati out for this game, but with Evan Ferguson, João Pedro, Matoma's back in training after his injury, they'll be very confident of scoring against us, especially when we've conceded 13 goals in our last 5 games. That record is poor. In Jose Mourinho's first season as Chelsea manager, we only conceded 15 goals, 2 more than what we've conceded in the last 5 games in an entire season. Good old days, eh? Anyway, my very basic summary of Brighton is that they are a big puncher with a bit of a weak chin. They can roll you over, but they can also very much leave Stamford Bridge on Sunday getting rolled over. And people are saying to me, you've just been battered by Newcastle 4-1. Why do you think you can do that? And that is because we're not a bad team. We're an inconsistent team. And you know what? Sometimes being inconsistent is worse than being bad, because what do they say? It's the hope that kills you. And if you're just bad, you're just losing every week. You know your shit. Whereas with us, it's like we get that little bit of hope, a little bit of glimmer, and we're like, oh, we could push on here. We could do something. No. Here come West Ham to beat us. You know, we get a couple of good results against the likes of Spurs and Manchester City. We could push on here. No. Here come Newcastle to beat us. But the other flip side of looking at it is, although the good results don't give you any indication that you're going to go on a run and have good results, it also sort of means the bad results don't give you any indication that you're going to go on a bad run and have really bad results. It means you can win 1, lose 1, win 1, draw 1, lose 2, win 2, so on and so forth. So I don't think that any time this season we're really going to be going into games going, oh, we definitely lose this just because we lost the match before or underperformed in the match before. I don't really think it's going to work like that for us this season, which I suppose you can take some positives in. But how do we win this game? Now listen, I would love our performance to be silky and smooth and so technically good that we don't have to show heart and fight, because that's not even necessary. But let's be honest, there's not much chance of that happening, is there? So here's what I think we should do. I think we should try and score more goals than we concede, and that should actually get us the win. No, seriously, strong defence. That is what we need. We've been leaking goals recently, and even at times when we weren't scoring goals, I was always looking at our defence though and going, yeah, no, we're all right. Maybe that's just my blue-tinted glasses. Maybe we're not all right. But I've always rated Chelsea as having a decent defence, and we have got really decent options in that defence. I'm telling you now, the likes of a Benoit Badiashile would walk into a lot of Premier League teams, you know. Levi Colwell's massively highly touted after that season on loan at Brighton. Axel Disasi is a player that plenty of teams would like to have, but it's about getting it right and putting it together. And the main man I'm leaning on here is Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva, still brilliant, but one of his best attributes is obviously his experience. So now we need to see it. We need to see him. I get that his English isn't that great and whatnot, but we need to see him organising that back line, telling players where they need to be, putting an arm round Levi Colwell if he starts alongside him, or whoever he does have alongside of him. Obviously, Melo Gusto, a very young player in that back line as well. So Thiago Silva really needs to share out his experience and operate that back line so that we can put in a really, really sturdy performance. As I say, Brighton Brighton have got good attackers. They have got good options to get at us, and we need our backline to be sturdy. We cannot go conceding 4 goals again in this match. It would be, what would that mean if we did do that? It'd be like the 3rd out of 4 matches we've conceded 4 in. That would be mental. We also need to win the battle in midfield. Now listen, let me just say Brighton are playing tonight in the Europa Conference League. Is it Europa? No, it's just Europa League, isn't it? Yeah. Brighton are playing tonight in the Europa League, so things may change. But if you look at the last midfield they put out for their last Premier League game, the 2 were Pascal Gross and Billy Gilmour. Both very technical, good players. Both easy on the eye. But to me, they are what they are. Do you know what I mean? Technical players. They are not Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton. They are not going to overrun you. We need to be able to take a leaf out of Newcastle's book here and look at the hard lesson they taught us and go, right, we are going to try and do that. We are going to try and overrun that midfield. Because when you look at Caicedo and Conor Gallagher being able to get stuck right in to Billy Gilmour and Pascal Gross, who, as I say, aren't the most physical players, then maybe we can win that little battle. Enzo can spray balls, put it through to the front line, and then when it gets there, we need to be clinical in this match. I spoke about the amount of goals that Brighton concede. We are going to have opportunities to score against Brighton, and if we're anything like anyone else that's played them this season, we will score goals against them. So we need to be clinical. Raheem Sterling needs to have a really good match. Cole Palmer needs to show up again, as he has been doing week in, week out, apart from that Newcastle game. And Amanda Broha needs to look at this and go, right, you're looking at potentially bringing in Kunku into this spot. You're looking at potentially bringing a number 9 in the January window or the summer. And there's been rumours that I'm going out. And if I want to stay and fight for my place at my boyhood club, who I've come through the academy of in Chelsea, this is the match that I displace Jackson. And I give Pochettino a real headache when it comes to where do we play in Kunku when he's coming back. Because I'll tell you one thing. Remember this as well, right? Pochettino does like to play with a number 9. Like, I know we look good with the, if you'd call it a false 9 against Arsenal, without the physical number 9 in there. But throughout Pochettino's history, he's liked to play with a number 9, Ricky Lambert, Graciano Pella, Harry Kane. Like, everywhere he's gone, he's always liked a number 9, So I think that spot is still there, up for grabs. And I get it's very easy for me saying it sitting at home, but Amanda Broha needs to be ready to take that spot. We have to be clinical. They can be scored against. I do think we will. I really do think we will. My prediction for the match, I am going to go Chelsea 2, Brighton 0. Please don't come back to bite me in the arse. People, what do you think? I want your score predictions in the comments below. And also, I want your starting lineups. Would you agree with me or would you change it? A lot of you guys put your starting lineups in the comment section to my videos, and I love reading through them because then I can gauge how far off I am in comparison to what the fan base think, and I can see what players you think deserve and don't deserve a spot in that starting 11. Thank you very much for sticking around to the end of another video. If you are not already, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell because then you get a notification every time one of my videos goes live. Hit the like button now. We've got some big things coming up at the moment, so really grateful for all the support that you guys are giving me. Yeah, let's just really hope that we can get a nice little win under our belts, and then we can go in to the Manchester United game on Wednesday night next week with a little bit of momentum and turn over United. It's about time someone did it. They are the informed team in the Premier League, which is crazy. And I truly believe that Chelsea will turn them over. I think me and Brian are planning on possibly doing a stream, just us two on the kickoff for that game. So I'll keep you updated for that. I'm on the kickoff on Sunday. I think we go live at 4 p.m. I'll put it out on my socials. Follow me on Instagram. It's linked in the description. I'll see you lot in the next one.